I want you to kind of set the table here for everybody, because everybody's like, all right, they're in if they do this, right? Oklahoma State is in if they beat Baylor last night. North Carolina is in if they beat Florida State. Take people through all the moving parts right now that's going on, that we can't make any sort of definitive statements.
Right. What happens is people see whether it's Joe Lenardi or whomever, and here's who's in, here's who's out. A couple things it doesn't take into account. Okay. First, there are several mid-majors or low majors, and we can get into that discussion at a different time in terms of what you consider a team. But there are several non-traditional Power 5 conference schools that are going to get into the NCAA tournament. Florida Atlantic, if they don't win their conference tournament championship, I believe, and the numbers would tell you, they belong in. Same thing goes for Oral Roberts. I believe, and the numbers would tell you, they'll likely go in. Boise State, I know it's the Mountain West. It's a much higher level than a Florida Atlantic and Oral Roberts. Nevada suffered a bad defeat. Their numbers are still pretty good. But you go around the country, and College of Charleston would be very, very close. They get to the finals. And so when you see those last four in, right, you're like, well, we're in the tournament. Okay, a couple things you have to take into account. One, there's that. And then every one of these at-large teams will lose their last game. They will lose their last game. Okay, so it's what do you do between now and when you lose your last game, and how bad a loss is it? Because we all only see the positives. Well, we beat this team. Yes, but you're going to lose a game. How do I know that? Because if you don't lose a game, then you win your then you win your conference tournament championship, and this becomes a null and void discussion. So let's just start from that spot.
All right. Before we get on to Baylor, Oklahoma State, I want to know what you think of my idea. I'm gonna start proposing it all over the world here. My idea is Final Four teams, high major teams that get in, play the Final Four mid-major teams on the bubble that get in the first four. In the first four, so you have the high majors versus the mid-majors.
You don't. Who are you selling it to? We've all said this. We all said since its infancy. That should be the design of the first four. Okay. High major versus mid-major, not mid-major. Here's another one. I got a proposal for you. Okay. Low majors. Okay. We all know what low majors are. Oral Roberts, for example. They shouldn't have to play their conference tournament. The conference tournament should decide.
How do you do it then? How do you do it? I agree with you. Obviously, a regular season title is worth more. It's 3.5 months as opposed to 3 days. I get it, but I do enjoy the conference tournaments, and they have to mean something.
Okay, so whoever wins it goes to the NIT. There you go. Whoever wins it goes to the NIT. Automatic bid to the NIT. But look, because if you think about it this way, the likelihood of success in the NCAA tournament is stronger, or should be stronger, with your best team. Now, again, all those conferences don't play even schedules, but I think that's one way you could protect them. The other way is what the West Coast Conference does, which is Gonzaga and St. Mary's. They have a quadruple bye. Like, look at their bracket, and it's just they have a quadruple bye. I think they started playing the conference tournament last week, and it ends next week in Vegas. Yeah, you protect those teams.
Just put Oral Roberts into the Summit League title game right now. Just put him in. Give him a bye to the Summit League title game.
The one thing I will tell you, and this is the real thing, okay, because I've been in both positions as a player. I always thought playing in a kind of a warm-up game is better. Yeah. Is better. When you didn't play and everybody else played the night before, they got kind of all those jitters out, right? And and especially teams that are playing with nothing to lose, like you want to play a game. So it hasn't happened. Gonzaga and St. Mary's haven't lost in those quadruple bye games, but there are some double buys that end up benefiting. Once you get to 4 days or 5 and 5 days, you're just worn out. You don't have any gas in the tank. But playing a game sometimes is very beneficial, even if it's a warm-up game.